This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recorded by Mike Phillips. Aesop's Fables, The Wolf and the Goat. A wolf caught sight of a goat browsing above him on the scanty herbage that grew on the top of a steep rock, and being unable to get at her, tried to induce her to come lower down. "You are risking your life up there, madam, indeed you are," he called out. "Pray take my advice and come down here, where you will find plenty of better food." The goat turned a knowing eye upon him. "It's little you care whether I get good grass or bad," said she. "What you want is to eat me." End of The Wolf and the Goat. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recorded by Mike Phillips. Aesop's Fables, The Ass and the Mule. A certain man who had an ass and a mule loaded them both up one day and set out upon a journey. So long as the road was fairly level, the ass got on very well. But by and by they came to a place among the hills where the road was very rough and steep, and the ass was at his last gasp. So he begged the mule to relieve him of part of his load, but the mule refused. At last, from sheer weariness, the ass stumbled and fell down a steep place and was killed. The driver was in despair, but he did the best he could. He added the ass's load to the mule's, and he also flayed the ass and put his skin on the top of the double load. The mule could only just manage the extra weight, and as he staggered painfully along, he said to himself, "I have only got what I deserved. If I had been willing to help the ass at first, I should not now be carrying his load and his skin into the bargain." End of The Ass and the Mule. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recorded by Mike Phillips. Aesop's Fables, Brother and Sister. A certain man had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And the boy was as good-looking as the girl was plain. One day, as they were playing together in their mother's chamber, they chanced upon a mirror and saw their own features for the first time. The boy saw what a handsome fellow he was, and began to boast to his sister about his good looks. She, on her part, was ready to cry with vexation when she was aware of her plainness, and took his remarks as an insult to herself. Running to her father, she told him of her brother's conceit, and accused him of meddling with his mother's things. He laughed and kissed them both, and said, "My children, learn from now onwards to make a good use of the glass. You, my boy, strive to be as good as it shows you to be handsome. And you, my girl, resolve to make up for the plainness of your features by the sweetness of your disposition." End of Brother and Sister.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Aesop's Fables, The Debtor and His Sow. A man of Athens fell into debt and was pressed for the money by his creditor, but he had no means of paying at the time, so he begged for delay. But the creditor refused and said he must pay at once. Then the debtor fetched the sow, the only one he had, and took her to market to offer her for sale. It happened that his creditor was there too. Presently a buyer came along and asked if the sow produced good litters. "Yes," said the debtor, "very fine ones, and the remarkable thing is that she produces females at the Mysteries and males at the Panathenea." Festivals these were, and the Athenians always sacrificed a sow at one and a boar at the other, while at the Dionysia they sacrificed a kid. At that the creditor, who was standing by, put in, "Don't be surprised, sir. Why, still better, at the Dionysia this sow has kids." End of Aesop's Fables, The Debtor and His Sow. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Aesop's Fables, The Bald Huntsman. A man who had lost all his hair took to wearing a wig, and one day he went out hunting. It was blowing rather hard at the time, and he hadn't gone far before a gust of wind caught his hat and carried it off, and his wig too, much to the amusement of the hunt. But he quite entered into the joke and said, "Ah, well, the hair that wig is made of didn't stick to the head on which it grew, so it's no wonder it won't stick to mine." End of Aesop's Fables, The Bald Huntsman. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Aesop's Fables, The Herdsman and the Lost Bull. A herdsman was tending his cattle when he missed a young bull, one of the finest of the herd. He went at once to look for him, but meeting with no success in his search, he made a vow that if he should discover the thief, he would sacrifice a calf to Jupiter. Continuing his search, he entered a thicket, where he presently espied a lion devouring the lost bull. Terrified with fear, he raised his hands to heaven and cried, "Great Jupiter, I vowed I would sacrifice a calf to thee if I should discover the thief. But now a full-grown bull I promise thee if only I myself escape unhurt from his clutches." End of Aesop's Fables, The Herdsman and the Lost Bull.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. This reading by Marian Margetich, Hungary. Aesop's Fables, The Hound and the Fox. A hound, roaming in the forest, spied a lion, and being well used to lesser game, gave chase, thinking he would make a fine quarry. Presently the lion perceived that he was being pursued, so, stopping short, he rounded on his pursuer and gave a loud roar. The hound immediately turned tail and fled. A fox, seeing him running away, jeered at him and said, "Ho, ho, there goes the coward who chased the lion, and ran away the moment he roared." End of The Hound and the Fox, read by Marian Margetich, Hungary, on March 10th, 2006, Göttingen, Germany.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information and to find out how to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Marion Brown, Toronto, Canada. Aesop's Fables by Aesop, Volume 8. The Pack-Ass and the Wild Ass. A wild ass who was wandering idly about one day came upon a pack-ass lying at full length in a sunny spot and thoroughly enjoying himself. Going up to him, he said, "What a lucky beast you are! Your sleek coat shows how well you live. How I envy you!" Not long after, the wild ass saw his acquaintance again, but this time he was carrying a heavy load, and his driver was following behind and beating him with a thick stick. "Ah, my friend," said the wild ass, "I don't envy you any more, for I see you pay dear for your comforts." Advantages that are dearly bought are doubtful blessings. End of The Pack-Ass and the Wild Ass. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information and to find out how to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Marion Brown, Toronto, Canada. Aesop's Fables by Aesop, Volume 8. The Ass and His Masters. A gardener had an ass which had a very hard time of it, what with scanty food, heavy loads, and constant beating. The ass therefore begged Jupiter to take him away from the gardener and hand him over to another master. So Jupiter sent Mercury to the gardener to bid him sell the ass to a potter, which he did. But the ass was as discontented as ever, for he had to work harder than before. So he begged Jupiter for relief a second time, and Jupiter very obligingly arranged that he should be sold to a tanner. But when the ass saw what his new master's trade was, he cried in despair, "Why wasn't I content to serve either of my former masters? hard as I had to work, and badly as I was treated, for they would have buried me decently, but now I shall come in the end to the tanning vat. Servants don't know a good master till they have served a worse. End of The Ass and His Masters.